they've tried a lot of things. They've tried carve, for instance, the instrument you put in your boots. They've tried all these things, and they're still hit the wall. They don't get better. They're not seeing the progress for the effort that they're putting in.
Someone watching this might be surprised to learn how much you can rehearse your skiing before you get to the snow in ski boots.
You need a ski fit body, but you also need a ski fit mind. And the ski fit mind is knowing where and when to do the right thing. And most people are reactionary.
Most getting ski fit means getting stronger, fitter, or spending more time in the gym. But skiing demands something far more specific. Over the last 18 months inside the Harb Ski Academy, Harb has been reverse engineering the movements, balance, strength, and physical abilities required for efficient skiing, and developing ways to train them before you ever get to the mountain. At 77, Harald is still skiing at an exceptionally high level. In this conversation, he shares what he has learned from decades of coaching athletes, developing skiers, and training himself, and how that thinking has evolved into a four-pillar system for building and maintaining a ski-fit body.
We're about to play some video of you skiing at 76 years young. Like, you always look really balanced when you ski. How has like maintaining a ski fit body and the kinds of programs that you're doing now helped you to maintain your skiing form now into your mid 70s?
Well, my emphasis, I mean, I do a lot of different things when I'm on snow. I have to demonstrate, which is, show movements. And then I want to ski for myself. And I'm constantly testing my own abilities when I'm skiing. I'm pushing my limits, so to speak. So when it's icy, I want to take out my slalom skis and I want to carve on ice without slipping. And I want to join turns together, link arcs together with carving movements, with angles. And I can feel I feel the difference in the tension of my body that I need to create when I'm demonstrating, as opposed to when I'm skiing for myself. And then when I ski, challenging terrain, it's more of a free expression. There's no, like trying to demonstrate a certain thing as much. It's more like just skiing down, and whatever happens, happens, and I react to it. And that's still a big part of my enjoyment in skiing, is to go out and test myself with my reactions. Now I have a different approach for that as well, because I used to just be able to jump off a cornice and ski down whatever was there, and it didn't matter. I just overcame it. Now I have to build up to it more. And I think that's advice that I would give to anybody who gets, over 55, 60, because your joints and your muscles don't react the same way. So you have to build up to it to get the feel for those activities.
Hey, so Harold, today we're going to talk about how to build a ski fit body inside the Harb Ski Academy. And it's been really interesting the last 18 months, hasn't it? Because we have essentially reversed engineered a way to get prepared for the snow before you get to the snow. Can you just give us an overview of what you've been able to accomplish inside the academy?
Well, it started when I was coaching young athletes, and I didn't have, that was in the 70s, right? 70 from 73 on to 80s and 90s. I was coaching some of the elite athletes in this country and evolving them even to the Olympics and winning medals, right? And national champions and junior national champions and NCAA, whatever levels they went to. And when I was doing the dryland programs at Stratton Academy and then my school that I had in New Hampshire later on, and then Alaska, I didn't have a formula. I had to invent it as I went along. And, part of it was what I was doing when I was preparing for ski racing. And then I was, my interests were physiology and biomechanics. So I would study every exercise format from different sports weight training, strength training, all of that. But one of the things that I always did was the warm-up session. We did a 20-minute to half an hour warm-up session. And I go back and I look at what I was doing then and all the movements. This is like on a grass field, no apparatus, just body calisthenic type things, balancing things, full body movement things with resistance. And I can tell you, in 20 minutes of that, you were sweating, literally sweating. And if you could, just that phase of it alone, I've incorporated those movements into the academy now. And I've added more to them since, now I know a lot more than I did back then. But I was amazed when I went back and I looked at the warm-up program I was doing. Originally, I hadn't connected that when I started doing the academy. And when I started doing the academy, I did this recall about, oh, I did that with the kids. I did this with the kids. And then evolve it even beyond. So yeah, I can tell you one thing that is so effective. When I was doing that with our Stratton kids and our kids in New Hampshire, when I ran the program there, I never had one ACL injury with all the years I was coaching ski racing. Not one ACL injury with all the athletes, with all the days training for over 20 years. I never had anybody have an ACL rupture or injury or knee injury that would shut them down. Now, was it luck? Yeah, maybe some might have been luck, but I'm going to take the credit for proper prep, proper physical conditioning that created that, and then proper ski technique on snow. Well, when you're in the mid 70s, you're not going to have the power and the size of your muscles that you had when you were 30 or 25. So you have to become more efficient. And efficiency, and it's talked about in skiing before. This is nothing, revolutionarily new. But your skeleton has a way. Your skeleton has a way to line itself up and to forces, and not only to forces, but also its best way to balance on a ski while it's traveling through an arc. And the muscles that you used to use uh, to add more or to absorb forces or to challenge yourself on more difficult slopes and just power through it, you you're changing the approach a little bit. You're becoming more efficient with your alignment of your skeleton. Therefore, you don't have to use as much muscle power to generate the same kind of turn or a similar kind of turn. And to do that, you've got to become aware of not only your skiing muscles and how to use them and get your body lined up and your skeleton lined up properly, but in the workout room, in the gym, or exercise wise, or whatever exercises we have divulged in the academy that we've created, in other words, designed ourselves, that match ski movements. And that's the important thing, I think, that I've changed in my workouts. I've got a lot more ski related activities that directly are the same movements and using the same muscle groups as I do when I'm skiing. I just want to feel better, stronger, more control. And I want to make turns that create some kind of rhythm. So I feel like more like I'm dancing than working at skiing. So it becomes more fluid, or that these are the things that people describe when they say, "Oh, I really had a great day. I felt so easy and fluid. Everything came together," whatever that is, and how you got it. But that's one kind of motivation, and other motivations are, for instance, I want to be able to carve with bigger angles. I want to really be able to bring that radius down and get angles and make the skis really bend, and I want to pop out of a turn, get the energy, be dynamic, And I want to have the appearance of an expert. I want to look like I really understand what I'm doing, and that's a different motivation for somebody who with that motivation, you have to really understand exactly what you're trying to do and understand the whole system. Whereas people who want to get the fluidness, the more ease, maybe ski longer without tiring out, that's a little different because there's less of that strong dynamic that they want to be more fluid and more easy skiing, relaxed, so to speak. And so we have to address that relative to what you're working on in preparation. And, a lot of people come to my camps and they do very little preparation, apart from maybe they do a sport. Maybe they play pickleball, tennis, play golf. Maybe they do hiking, and some people will be more serious about other sports, like they train at things, which is, training at things training it specifically for things is very different from playing pickleball. There are benefits to pickleball, there's no doubt, or tennis, but it's not the same thing as focused training for certain muscle groups that you really want to use to get what I described as the second motivation. So different levels. We have all of those on the academy. We have the 20-minute workout, which is, more for people who have less time, and they want to do 2-3 times a week, but they don't have an hour to dedicate to it. So we have a very defined structure, but also we have different approaches for different levels of people's motivation. I'm a cyclist. I've been a cyclist most of my life. I've competed in cycling, but I still ride a lot, and I ride, 2-3 hours at different days, uphill most of the time. I'm a climber type bike rider. I love climbing up hills. I love these mountain roads that go up to 14,000 feet. But if I just do that, which people would say, wow, you must have strong legs, it's going to be great for your skiing. No. Cycling is one-dimensional. So you're not getting everything you need for your skiing. So when I cycle, I'll cycle every 2 days, probably 2, sometimes 3 days off in between. But I'm doing other things in between those days, like in the weight room or in compound exercises. The ones we've designed, many of them are exactly what we've designed in the academy. I did that the other day. I'd cycled, I'd played pickleball. Now I did a leg workout. I did my goblet squats, and I did my Bulgarian lunges, and I did RDLs. And I can tell you, the next day, not so much the next day, because as you age, you don't go through the recovery as quickly. It takes a second day. My muscles were telling me exactly what I did to stress them. And I had soreness, major soreness in my glutes, my quads, and my hip flexors. And you would think with all the cycling that I wouldn't feel that anymore. Now I did, when I was doing this when I was in my 30s, I never felt that once you got at a certain level of fitness. But now I'm in my 70s, I can do all this riding, and then I'll go in the weight room and do a weight workout twice a week for legs and core. And 2 days later, I am trashed from that exercise. So what does it tell you? You've got to be doing a complete exercise program that encompasses all the muscle groups. And that's why we call it a ski fit body. You have to have covered all of these aspects of physical fitness. And physiology, if you study physiology, you understand that there's aerobic energy and capabilities. There's anaerobic, there's muscle strength, there's muscle speed, there's muscle power, and they're all different. And they all require a different change in your training to hit all of them. So when I say a compound exercise, that's an exercise where we build 2 or 3 of these into one exercise, so you don't have to do them all separately. And then you add the balance feature in there, included in that. Now we're covering another aspect of training, which develops the ski fit body again.
Because one of the sneaky things about skiing is that, you know, you get dragged up on a lift and you're using gravity to come back down. So it can be kind of seductive in that you can get away with not doing a lot. But I guess there's like I guess the question I'm asking is, where does it catch people out when they don't have, you know, the
Yeah.
basics of a ski fit body?
What you're defining is twofold, right? They, the skier really has to understand, if they don't understand these things, is they're going to run into trouble. Uh, One of them is, how do you get forward for every turn? That's probably, for that skier that you're mentioning, that's probably the most important thing. It's more important than getting angles. It's more important than, uh, dynamics or short turns or skiing steep hill. It's or challenge or trying to keep up with your buddies. It's important to stay over your skis, and to stay over your skis on a whole run, you've got to know the movement for each turn. It's the same one, but it has to be applied every turn, or else you're going to get behind your skis, and all of a sudden your skis are going to shoot out in front of you. And that's what happens with a lot of people. And either they make a recovery, or they skid for a long distance, or they get in the back seat and they pick up a lot of speed, knowing how to get forward for each turn. And, that's one of the most important things that we teach people. And if you're coming to camp and you don't have that, that's one of the first things we teach you, is how to get forward on your skis for every turn. And that's the one of the challenges for everybody. Um, some people don't recognize that. They just ski, they go out and ski, and they just all of a sudden they find themselves in trouble, or they have a bad day and they go, I just couldn't get over my skis today. Well, maybe they had some way of getting forward that maybe wasn't efficient, and they kind of have to work hard at it, and they let it go, or they get tired and they don't do it anymore, and then they get worse and worse as the day goes on. And this is one of the things, is getting fatigued during the day. And the more fatigued you get during the day, the less you're going to be standing on your skis properly.
I mean, we've been running the academy now for 18 months, and we poll everyone who joins the academy, and over 80% of the people that join the academy say they want to build their skills and abilities so they can ski better on snow. And then within the academy, we've defined that as these 7 habits. Habits 1 to 6 are skills and ability that you deploy on snow, and habit 7 is to build and maintain a ski fit body, so as you can deploy habits 1 through 6. What are the sorts of things that someone needs to tackle? Like, we've got the 4 pillars inside the academy. We've got restore and activate. We've got your next 7-day program, which is either a 2, 3, or 5-day program, depending on your goals. We've got the 2 smart feet slant board dryland training exercises. Then we've got dynamic feet, which is the plyometric, where we start to introduce the power and movements. So if if for whatever reason they're outside of the academy and they're trying to build something here, what would be some of the steps they could go to to starting to build something so they're ready for when they click into their skis?
Well, when I watch middle-aged to aging skiers ski, and I look at their movement capabilities, I can identify whether it's a muscle imbalance or a muscle weakness in a certain area of the body, or a position that is determined by having a stronger muscle and a stronger sense of how to use those muscles to be in a better position on your skis. And so I can identify, by watching them ski, what exercise is missing, or what muscle group is missing in their understanding of movement, or their capability to create a movement. So we spend quite a bit of time on understanding the activation of muscle groups that create the movements that you want in skiing. And if you don't understand the creation of movement with a muscle group activity that you start, or you create to make a movement on snow, or even training, you're not going to be developing that muscle properly if you don't know what it is. So you have to understand how to activate a muscle group and where that muscle group is and when it's needed for a certain movement. And that's really what we're doing also, in addition. So when I'm identifying skiers, people post their skiing in the academy, and they post their exercise activities. So we can tailor it exactly to the needs of the individual. Uh, well, we have, the academy has our 20-minute 3 times a day, 3 times a week, sorry. And 20 minutes, if you do 20 minutes 3 times a week, you're going to be so far ahead of doing what you never did before, right? And then that's the carrot, right? Sort of the carrot that gets you further. Once you start doing your 20 minutes 3 times a week, you start to realize, wow, I'm really benefiting. I'm feeling things I've never felt before. Then you go, oh, what if I did 40 minutes 4 times a week? So that, being the carrot, that introduces you to the next level. And then we have green, blue, black levels within your physical training with the academy. And, every time you go up a level, you're engaging with more activities, more exercises, more diverse exercises. You're getting very familiar with your balancing, stronger balance with movement. There's static balance, and then there's balance with movements. That's different, where you're simulating forces on your body and trying to still stay balanced. So yeah, we ratcheted it up as you get more involved, and the stronger you get, and the more dedicated and more participation you have, the better you're going to be prepared, and the easier the movements on snow are going to be when you start using them. Now, when you do that, you have to go through identifying what part of your body you have to move to get that to happen. And now when you go through all of these and you start realizing what movement you have to use and what body part you have to move, now you're starting to figure out your own skiing. And when you figure that out, you start having questions, the nuances, your own interpretation of those. So what I'm doing then is I'm fulfilling the needs of our membership by the questions they're asking. And you can start seeing patterns, right? We've been doing this for a year and a half or 3 quarters now. And we start to see patterns. We start to understand what people are asking for. And then we give them what they're asking for. And to even go beyond that, I design movements indoors in the ski foot body and the 12-week challenge, which is part of our fitness program, to get ready for the ski season. I start aligning what they're asking about with exercises that they can benefit from, so they can experience it and understand it and make the movements before they get on snow.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest breakthroughs, hasn't it? That we've realized how much you can practice your skiing indoors with the slant board or just with your boots on, um, activating that mind body connection. Because to get to the snow, it's a big investment and everything like that. And oh my gosh, the results that we're starting to see with the members now, because they get to rehearse the movements, build that connection, and then move forward. Um, yeah,
And
it's
they're
mm,
expressing that. They're coming back to us and saying, I did go skiing and I've noticed these improvements and these abilities that I didn't have before.
yeah.
And that's the other part of that is a lot of the exercises I've created for the ski fit body and for balance are one-footed, and a lot of one-footed type building of strength, realization of balancing, building the balance components, the co-contractive muscle groups in each of the joints in your body. And also making that keeping the joints healthy and keeping the muscles resilient so that your joints can stay healthy. And in skiing, we want to make sure that our joints are moving properly and are properly supported by the supporting muscle groups that not only move the joints in the right way to get your skiing, but also are supportive of keeping your joints when you're slightly getting out of balance. That's even more important because we all get out of balance. Look, let's not create that illusion that we're always in balance. Even though you say that I always look like I'm in balance when I'm skiing, I'm always adjusting for balance where I'm losing it, but I'm just picking it up sooner than most people because I've skied for so long. I know when something is going awry. I can tell when one turn wasn't exactly where it should be, and I can correct it before the next turn. So I'm totally aware of where my balance is all the time. But I also know what movements I need to create to regain it and get it back where I want it. That's what people don't have in skiing. That in their skiing, and that's one of the big things that we do in the academy. And when I introduce these things at our camps, or when I'm coaching someone, even private or one-on-one, they pick that up pretty quickly, but they have to rehearse it so it can be ingrained. Whereas in the academy, when you do it in dry land, you have such a strong foundation with that when you come to snow that it's almost like you've been skiing all winter. So the creativity part is that's what drives me. I love the coming up with answers, coming up with solutions, coming up with creative movements that look, even indoors, are fun. They're not just lifting weights 20 times the same routine. So I like to invent compound exercises for skiing. I like to invent balance, stressing your balance. That's why we have the slant board. We started using a slant board 25, 30 years ago. Why? Because we wanted to approximate movements. And, I've been through the ski revolving decks with the carpets. We had one of those, and we use that to train people indoors. But then we ran out of space for one of those in our shop. But that's the same idea. The idea that we're doing now in our academy and our exercises and our balance training and our ski movement training, dryland ski movement training, those are things that you take to the slope with you. You don't leave them at home in your training room or in your gym. Those are the things exact same movements, because we identified the body parts, we've identified the movement with that body part, and we've identified where in the arc that you use it. And most people have no idea that there are different things you do at different parts of the turn that keep you in balance. And probably, if I was going to identify two things that are so crucial to becoming a better skier and in being in control and getting that rhythm and that fluid skiing that you want, one is being balanced and being balanced on one foot, being able to balance on one foot. The other is knowing what movements happen at each part of your turn, so that you are in the future when you're skiing. Your body is doing what you need to do at the moment, but your brain is in the future. It's always one step or two steps ahead of where you are in the turn, because by the time you need it, you have to have thought about it two steps ahead, because then you're doing it at the right time. If you're trying to do everything at the right time at the moment you're giving yourself the command, you're always behind. So those two things, the knowing when and where to do the movement, and then the balancing on one foot, and knowing how to create it, maintain it, and recreate it, or getting back into it if you lose it. In a nutshell, this last few sentences, that encompasses the whole thing we do. I was just about to say you need a ski fit body, but you also need a ski fit mind. And the ski fit mind is knowing where and when to do the right thing. And most people are reactionary. They react to getting out of balance. They react to bumps in the snow. They react to an icy patch. They don't they don't have the strategies to be ahead of what might happen to them. And that's when you have a ski fit mind, you aren't reacting. You're in charge. You're in command of what's going on when you're skiing down the hill. And that really separates the recreational intermediate skier from an expert who's really uh, creating the movements they want to create, that they enjoy creating. No matter what the surface is, you can always enjoy movement creation. And that's what's great. Whether you're skiing in the trees or skiing on boilerplate ice, uh, it's just as much fun and enjoyable if you know what to create for those certain conditions.
How much of a, secret weapon is having a ski fit body and a ski fit mind and game plan when you head to the snow, to click into your skis for the first run of the season?
Um, it used to take a day or two to get so you really feel not having to monitor every step. Once you get into the rhythm of it and the routine of it, you don't have to think micromanage. But on the first day or two, first day or few hours, you're micromanaging because you're trying to recall the feel if you've had it before. If you haven't had it, you're starting over, but or learning. But when you get on the slant board, which we do, and we do other exercises with one-footed balance where we change our balance and step on boxes, get off boxes, do all these things. You're you're preparing your body for those movements. So the day out there that you're going the first day is not going to be so foreign. So I right now I can go out in 3 or 4 runs. I can already start challenging my technique and my skiing after on the first day. And part of it is also you're getting your foot and your ankles conditioned to the boot. And the boot, the foot ankle inside your ski boot and the way it reacts and what you're trying to do with it. The muscles, that even your skin against the boot where it's rubbing to get there are all of these little things that happen on the first day that you forget about after 2 weeks of skiing because you're conditioned. Your skin's conditioned to the rubbing in the boots. Your ankles are conditioned to the forces you have to put against the boot. The first day, even if you're doing slant board, which helps tremendously because you're having to do the same things indoors as you're doing on snow. That makes a big difference. If you're going from not doing anything with ski boots on at all summer to putting them on the first day. That's a foreign trip. But I've already done that indoors. I've gone on the slant board, and our academy members have done that. So they're conditioning your feet, your ankles, your skin, even rubbing in the boot, your shin against the front of the boot. All those things are so part of skiing that we take for granted after a couple of weeks because they become so second nature. They're not second nature on the first day, I can tell you that.
So you can actually rehearse step by step these micro movements that eventually become skills that turn into habits. Can you just talk us through the value of slant board training with your ski boots on? We call it 2 smart feet, because you're actually developing the what you're going to need on snow.
Well, we've taken indoor training to a whole new level. I mean, if you watch the national ski teams training indoors, they have a lot of agility things, which are they're you need that. It's part of the whole show. And jumping training and hopping and lateral movements and one-footed movements and bouncing and trampolining and getting on a big ball and doing they do all of that, and it's needed, it's important, and they gain a lot out of it. But we've taken it to a whole new level in the academy. Uh, we're doing things nobody else has done before. We are actually reproducing the what I said earlier, the selection of your body part and the movement of that body part to get from one turn to the other, to what to do in the turn while you're in it, and increasing the tipping angles while you're in it. That's one thing, increasing tipping angles once you start to all the way to the finish. That's a movement thing. We do that on the slant board. And we go from one extreme of angle building on the slant board to flipping your feet over to change edges and going to the other extreme. And we do that, like you mentioned, with a band around your body, waistband, and a very strong cord, stretch rubber cord. So you can go and literally be upside down to the slant board like you're on upside down in a high C turn, and you're early on the edges. We're trying to learn how to not turn. We are moving so the skis turn us. We aren't turning the skis. And that is a game changer in your approach. We don't turn our skis in PMTS or what we do in the academy. We make the movements that put the skis in a place where the skis turn you.
But also, like, we've got, like, younger members like Shane, who's just, who's been skiing for 3 months, and we'll throw some footage of Shane's skiing. Just I think we've got some training runs of him just skiing on one foot, but then we'll show you what he's doing indoors to prepare. I mean, this kid's phenomenal.
Well, he works very hard, and he works with the right movements, and he's working with the right exercises, and he can lift a lot of weight, but that's not where we're going with him. We're not trying to get him any stronger. He's plenty strong enough. Now we're getting specific about how his muscles can train to enhance the ski movements that he's going to need on snow, and make those resilient and explosive and also quick. That's more important than being able to lift more weight. It's the quickness, the resiliency of the muscles, the duplication of that muscle effort, which is endurance, and the precision of it. And it is precision. We didn't talk a lot about ski technique in this session, but just being able to be precise about how you use this movement, while you're balancing on the other foot. That sounds so simple to a lot of people, but I can tell you, if I take a new person who had never skied with before, comes to our camp, and I do that exercise in a onesie with them, I can't tell you how far off the balancing point that they're looking for is first demonstrated at the first attempt. And you need to be able to make that movement and that onesie type turn that we've developed, introduced. It's a new way of identifying ski movements that nobody else in ski teaching I've seen ever used before. And we use it and we build it in the academy, and then we use it on snow. But I can tell you these things, these nuances, these refinements, these abilities to be precise is what you're going to get out of it, and you're going to use it on snow. And then precision makes for complementary movements and balance if you use precision. Yeah, it's not just doing a bunch of exercises. It's also creating exercises that are intriguingly entertaining in some way, where they challenge you. Not just, anybody can pick up a dumbbell and do this 20 times, right? That's not my form of training. It's not about just doing, a big bar across your shoulders and doing squats 20 times, 3 sets. Our exercises are engaging. They create fun activity while learning, and that's really motivating. And motivating and intent for what you're doing keeps you going. So you have to have an intent. You have to know what you want, the benefits from what you're doing, and it should be fun. They should be. Fun comes from successful achievement when you're putting effort into what you're doing, and that's what our training is about. And that's how I try to design the exercises. So ideally, if I could have every person who comes to our camps go through the academy for even 2 months, it would totally change the quality of their experience and learning speed and picking up movements and retaining those movements at a level they never experienced before. Well, what do they tell us? They tell us after they've done a month or more of academy uh, indoor training. I went out and I could balance so much better. I went out and I could stay balanced. I went out and I could make more turns without getting fatigued, or I was in control all the way down. These are the things that people come back to us, and then we have mentioned that we do. Some of our members have built their own harp carvers, which are out of production. Which it's a tool that we designed and used to ski on pavement with rollers, and we have video footage of that. And some of our members are training on harp carvers, and we're coaching them. And the improvement there is just the same as improving on snow. So you can see the parallel between what we're doing physically in our 12-week challenge type exercises to using the slant board or the carvers, which translates directly to movements on snow. So when they get on snow, they go, oh, I never thought I could do that before. Now I'm doing it because I did it indoors, and I did it on my carvers, or I did it on the slant board. So everything is transferable that we're doing in the 12-week challenge or the fitness program. But you also want to be efficient. You don't want to be doing a bunch of activity that is taxing, that doesn't get you anywhere, and that can be done easily. You can be doing heavy weight exercises that you're really not gaining much from. You're actually taking a muscle and you're not preparing it for skiing. You're preparing it for lifting a weight. That doesn't prepare you for skiing. That's a difference. We're doing exercises that prepare you for skiing, not build a bigger quad or build a bigger bicep. That's kind of old school training. We're way beyond that. So that's what we're doing. We're creating active athletes at any age. Doesn't matter. We can take, if you've never exercised your whole life properly, when you're 60, you can get into it, and by your 70, you're going to be an expert at physical fitness, doing it properly. Well, it goes beyond skiing, doesn't it? I try to instill in people that once you get on a program like this, it becomes a lifestyle, and it benefits you in so many other ways. Longevity with physical ability is one of the biggest things you can keep in your life. As far as as you age, you want to stay active. You want to be able to do things that you enjoy, and that's fundamentally the bottom line of all of this, right? Is being able to ski the way you want to, and enjoying how you prepare to be able to ski the way you want to. And then it goes beyond that. It goes to other activities that you might enjoy doing, like go swimming or go play tennis or whatever. You're just going to be better at all of those things. And you're going to feel better every day. You're going to get up in the morning with some purpose. And that's really the bottom line here, isn't it? Is we're living life, and we want to get the most out of our bodies, out of our minds, and out of our lives and our activities. And really, if there was an underlying theme below skiing, and that's a foundation for what we're doing, that would be it.
Imagine your best ski season ever with weekly access to Harald Harb, creator of the Primary Movements Teaching System, PMTS, the most efficient way to learn to improve your skiing. Harald is a career coach and best-selling author. His camps sell out in 24 hours. Join Harald live each week for Q&A, masterclasses, the Ski Improvement Show, and interviews with skiing greats. Ask Harald anything from bumps and basics to which ski boot works best for your alignment. Post your skiing videos for feedback from Harald and our coaching team and progress through green, blue, and black levels. Skiing smarter, not harder. Browse our library of over 100 hours of ski improvement breakdowns, from off-snow fitness and alignment to efficient on-snow movements. Everything's under one roof, plus a supportive global community. Find ski buddies on our member map. If you're ready to reduce fatigue and muscle soreness, ski longer and stronger, and keep doing what you love well into your 60s, 70s, and 80s, start your free 7-day trial today. We'll see you on the inside.